content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you.
What's good, everybody? You know who I am, man. I'm the G with the PhD, and you tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers, man. And look, before I get things started, man, you know what I gotta do, man. I gotta give a shout out to, all the members of the Green Gorilla channel, man. You know how I do, bro. But first, though, I want to say, what's good to my haters out there, man. I hope y'all having a good day. You know, the haters always got to get, some love, even though they hate, And, if you haven't already, man, you're just not coming in, man. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing. Make sure you do that. And let me get, this roll off for my members, man, the people who support me and to help keep things going. You know what I'm saying? So, big shout out to Michael Ross, Jeffrey Speed, Brotherly Love 215, Marvin Battle Jr., Mark Hope, Lackenzie Mayweather, Black Swerve 404, Pete Rock, J. Cleveland Green, Electrician 480, Marvin Evans, Rogish Son, Kwaku Asasi, Javon Thompson, John J., The IDP Expressions, Darnell Smith, Afro Troop TV, Adam, Tahuti, BGS Ibmore, Ignatz Mouse, Show Me, Cal J. Sura, Brian Peaks, Poppy Didas, Roderick Jackson, Scott Hayward, Black Uhuru Strikes, Dr. Tree 33, Rais Muaji, Leroy Honeycutt, The Thinker, Broken Blade, Life of Commerce, Super Tech, Kisses from Afar, 77 Base X, Brian McMurray, Apex Prowler, Karan S, Anthony Davis, Artisan MC, Damon Brown, Donnell 360, Herbert Lewis, Seven Coast Dojo, Pulpit 28, Charles Rogers, B Hillfire, Rick Ross, Sandra Jean 955, Charles Gilmore 3, Patricia Colley, 7Q Pitt, Greg, Barry Little, Alan Wiley, Mr. Valentino, Jason Hales, Black Men Being Brutally Honest, Cameron 87, Deshaun Nolly, Nelso, Kareem Not Karen, Doc LaRock, J. Charles, The Face, Mark Swift, Odd Collar, Donald Watts, HipHop.CATV, Coach DC, Kashif Caldwell, Mr. Blue Collar, Barnolas, I'm Just Jules, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Mr. Heat, Sir Anthony, MLR, Universal 178, Rasheed Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, Aaron Infinite, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Kalan Jakala, Ricky Dawson, Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shaheed, Hostile Adept, and W Prayer 1. And I can't forget my brother in heaven, Force Windu. Big up to y'all, man. And on the Patreon side, man, I want to give a shout out to all my members there, because they also help me to keep things going, man. So shout out to Everett Meadows, man, Lamont Latimer, William Joyner, Javon Thompson, Tyrone Hampton, Jules Winfield, Romello Scuggs, Darnell Smith, Excalibur, Jason Warren, Anu 219, Pursuer Prisoner, Taz, Dragon 59, Supreme Ibmore, Adrian Hicks, Jay Bailey, Mr. Michi, NEU, Mo Mal, and the Sangwa. Big up to y'all, man. Big up to y'all, man. Appreciate all your help and your support, man. And, if you're thinking about how you can also help support the Green Gorilla channel, well, here's how you do it.
What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla Channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless.
All right, y'all, we back. You know who I am, man. I'm the G with the PhD. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla Channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up with no chasers. And you know, not too long ago, I did a video kind of detailing and, you know, kind of exploring the Black National Convention in Gary, Indiana in 1972. And so today, we're going to talk to a brother who's organizing the 50th year. You know, he's commemorating, he's planning to actually hold another Black National Convention in the very city, Gary, Indiana. And I thought it would be, you know, appropriate to have him come here and to explain what he's attempting to do in relation to this 50th anniversary of the Black Nationalist Convention in Gary, Indiana, and also to explain, you know, his trials and tribulations as an activist who basically, you know, traveled over 120,000 miles, you know, in order to fight for justice in behalf of black men and women and whoever else who are being, you know, killed by extrajudicial police killings. And so, you know, we're going to introduce him in a quick second. But before I do so, man, I want to give a shout out to Sam C. Appreciate your donation, sir. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, sir. And also to my brother, Brotherly Love, man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you. Appreciate that, because none of y'all have to do that, okay? Now, what I'm about to do is bring the brother on. But before I bring him on, I want to make sure that he's introduced properly. And big up to Counselor Murray as well. Thank you, sir. I'm going to put you up on the screen in 1 second. I just, you know, got to get myself situated, you know, here. Got to get myself situated. But, you know, for the most part, this brother, man, his name is Dennis Boatwright. Okay? Let me give a shout out to Counselor Murray, man. Shout out to Counselor Murray. Okay? So let me go right to his email so I can introduce him, okay? So at any rate, his name is Dennis Boatwright. He's also known as Imhotep. He's a Pan-Africanist, and he's going to be, you know, starting his own social media show called So What? And he is the founding director of the Center for Pan-African Studies. In addition, Dennis is a prisoner rights advocate. And since the debacle with the videotape murder of George Floyd, he and his wife have, and his kids, his children, have driven, as I said before, over 120,000 miles to cities and small towns to connect with black folks, people of African descent, and to show solidarity with communities victimized by police violence. And Dennis is a lifetime Detroit native, and he proudly lists Marcus Garvey, Doctors John Henry Clark, and Ronald Walters as his biggest inspirations. And he's currently writing a book that pays tribute to 20 African-centered scholars who defended the integrity of black studies for over 6 decades. So welcome, without further ado, my brother, Dennis Boatwright, man. How you doing there, brother?
All right, man. How you doing?
What's good with you, brother?
Everything good. I'm just glad I finally caught up with my tribe, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, your show is a place I need to be at.
For sure, man, for sure. Now, one of the things, you know, I want to make express is that, you know, we contacted each other via email, okay? That's how we came into contact with each other, okay? And when I saw your email, I had to respond, okay? You know, because, you know, recently, as you know, I did the video commemorating, you know, the Black National Convention. And, you know, my sentiments were, what happened? You know, like, what happened? Like, at one point in time, as Jesse Jackson would exclaim enthusiastically, what time is it? It's nation time, right? That was the mantra. Where did we go? How did it all fall awry? So it went from, what time is it? It's nation time, to now something entirely different. And I have another individual. I don't know if you invited another guest to join us, but there's somebody else on the back side of the QA. And I don't want to bring him in just yet because I want this show to be dedicated to you. So, I mean, but eventually you can answer
does
some.
he have do he has a name or something attached? Because I don't recall me doing that.
His name is Manifest Millions. No, I mean, you know, well, you know, I just, you know, I don't want to have him sitting.
No, I didn't do that. Nope. I didn't do it. I don't know who that is.
Okay, so he's sitting on the back burner. I don't want to insult you, but we will give you an opportunity at some point to answer some questions if to ask some questions rather, if you so desire. But right now, I got to focus my attention on my brother Dennis Boatwright here. Again, the founding, organizer and director of the Center for Pan-African Studies, okay? And he's helping to organize, as I said before, this 50th anniversary of the Black National Convention in Gary, Indiana. So,
that's my son. That was my son. I had sent him the link. Apparently, I sent him the link that I had by mistake. That's my son, but you good. He don't want to come in. He thought this was the way he can review it.
Okay, that's cool. So, okay, that's great. That's awesome. So now I know what's going on because I was a little bit confused at first. But Dennis, man, what happened, bro?
Well, what happened has happened before. This is not a new phenomenon to people of African descent. It was another missed opportunity. Black people, for whatever reason, we have a history or proclivity of fumbling the bag. We did that back in the 1950s with the African independence explosion, when all of these African countries were declaring independence. However, only 3 of them decided to join in a union: Mali, Senegal, and Ghana. The rest of them decided to be under some type of French or British or European protectorate. So what happened in 1972 is just another tragedy of a missed opportunity that people of African descent has had.
Hey, so
go ahead.
You go ahead and expound. It seems like
if we want to get specific about this, what happens is we allowed people that had black skins, however, who didn't have the black gender or black interests at heart, and we allowed them to be a part of that convention, and they sowed dissensions. They allow a white liberal and their controllers of the Democratic Party come and dictate the agenda, to the point where we had over 10,000 people there weren't able to get anything to do because we have many people coming with different agendas, what now we call intersectionality. When you look at the Gary declarations, for example, it's heartening to see that one of the preconditions or one of the demands that those people had at that agenda at the Gary Convention is that they wanted Palestine to be a free country. So they allow intersectionality to come in and disrupt a pure black agenda convention. So that's just one of the things what happened. There's a good essay written by Vincent Harding that it got published in 1980, and it talks about what actually happened. And what actually happened is we have a lot of these people that were there, that they weren't there for a black agenda. They were agents of white liberals and white supremacy status quo supporter. So we allowed them to come in and infect the good spirit, the original intentions of this convention. We allowed them to affect them to the point where everybody began to storm out. Some delegates began to storm out. But that's exactly what happened. We didn't make the Black political convention a convention for a purely Black agenda.
Okay, so that being the case, you know some of the things that happened. So you had interlopers and people who had preconceived agendas or pre-established agendas. They were there not for the express and the intent purpose of, developing some sort of consensus or developing some agenda where Black people could be autonomous outside of the scope and the range of traditional American politics, whether they be leftist or rightist politics. Okay. All right. So you had these interlopers and people with these ulterior motives. Now, I know you're planning another one of these events. Okay. What is going to be different this time in your orchestration of this event? And what do you hope to get accomplished this time with this event? And how do you, plan to sidestep some of, the shortcomings of the event that happened in 1972?
Well, unfortunately, brother, I can't predict the future, but I will say this. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but my presence on the planning committee and the agenda subcommittee, I'm trying to make this become a Black agenda. We have to start off from that basis. We can't start off from midget people. We can't start off what they call intersectionality. We can't be concerned about midget rights. We can't be concerned about so-called Black and brown coalitions. We have to make this purely a Black agenda convention from the beginning. So what I'm trying to do is, and this is a fluid situation. We have meetings every Wednesday. I said we need to talk about this in the beginning before it explodes while we're at the convention. So some of the other people, the major organizers, they took what I said and they said that we're going to talk about it. But based upon the composition, based upon the tone of some of these discussions, I'm not that really optimistic that it's going to be anything differently, because what I'm seeing is not really about a Black agenda. It's about multiculturalism. It's about the LGBTQ community, their rights. It's about speaking out about so-called misogyny and many other different things of that nature. I see this already coming. So as I said in my email, I don't know how long I'm gonna last. I'm surprised that I'm even on that committee, but I'm on that committee to say that I gave it my best to try to put a Black agenda out there. Now, if they accept it, they do. If they don't, it's out of my power. But I don't know if it's going to be anything different. But in order for it to be different, there has to be a predetermined criteria of even being a delegate or being a member of these conventions or subcommittee. You have to be there for a strictly Black agenda, plain and simple, or you shouldn't even be there, because we can't be delusioned by the fact that just because a person is Black, they have the Black interest. So everybody doesn't need to be there. You only people need to be there if you are promoting a purely Black agenda. That can be the basis. Now, the other intersectionality subjects like LGBT community or coalitions, maybe perhaps we could talk about that down the line or the later date. But we need to talk about a Black agenda first and foremost.
So first and foremost, you say the intersectional, identity politics route is something that you want to stymie from or thwart from the beginning because it could be divisive. And then the subject matter of the conference could be, diverted from black unity and, collective black task making and action building. It could be diverted from that and turned into, a means by which to talk about the problems within the black community, and basically the narrative is that there are oppressors within the context of the black community, and that needs to be teased out, right? I have my misgivings about that framework, that way of thinking. My viewpoint on it is, when you point a finger at somebody in the black community or one, population or demographic within the black community, like say, for example, black men, well, three can be pointed, right back at the person who's pointing the finger. Nobody's blameless. Nobody's perfect, in the black community. Black women are not perfect. LGBTQ people are not perfect. Okay. And, this whole notion of, that there's something that black men are leaning on, like the patriarchy, which I've gone over this ad nauseum. I don't think black men control any institutions in the United States. Economic, social, the family is what I'm speaking about when I talk about, social. We don't control the educational institutions, the legal institutions, and by and large, we don't control the political institutions. So therefore, I'm hard pressed to figure out how, black men are able to participate in the patriarchy. I just don't get it. But, of course, we can make reference to, the fact that black men are sometimes violent and sometimes commit sexual assaults and, DV in the context of the home. But again, my research, drawing on, the documents that have been provided from social scientific research for the last 50 years, it demonstrates, I think, unquestioningly, that both men and women engage in violence in intimate partner relationships and also commit acts of sexual battery and assault. So, if we want to clean up the black community, we got to start with the truth. Okay. And, look, bruh, I'm going to say this. I've been reading Afrocentric literature since I was 18, 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm 51 right now. You know what I'm saying? So I done read Ivan Van Sertima, Machiac, Anta Diop, Theophilo Benga, Anthony Browder, Raul Nefer Our Men. I done read it all, man. I done read Marimba Ani. You know what I'm saying? I'm not new to this. Okay, so I'm an old school, kind of individual as it pertains, to Afrocentricity, black nationalism, and the like. Okay, now, but I want you to talk because in the email you initially sent me, it was titled, and I quote, "The Dangers of the LGBTQ." Okay. And look, I don't want to, I'm a libertarian, man. I believe if you want to, have sex with somebody from the same sex, that's your business. Personally, I don't care what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't have an impact on me. I don't care what you do. But I have an issue with people from that community being hyperbolic in the sense that, somehow they're oppressed by all the straight people in the black community, like black men in particular, heterosexual, cisgender black men are out there just, beating droves, killing, beating, and ostracizing people who identify as lesbian, trans, bisexual, or gay. I've never seen it personally. Okay. Now I've seen black men go at each other. I've seen black men and women go at each other. I've seen women go at each other. I have personally not ever in my lifetime have I ever seen someone assault someone on the account that they were lesbian, bi, trans, or gay. I've never seen it, or queer. I've never seen this. So explain to me, how you came to the conclusion that, this kind of agenda could be dangerous in relation to, the development of, coalition building among black folks. But beyond that, I want to talk about your experience as an activist hitting the rubble, and basically going on protests, during the era where Black Lives Matter was at its, apex. What kind of experiences did you have? I mean, you're a black man. You're out there championing, justice related to, what's going on with black folks. And then you're encountering, some kind of other kind of framework, some other kind of narrative. What was your experience, bro?
It was disheartening. And I was surprised. But I have to say something, to give you an idea of how I become an activist, because I'm a man of action. I'm not into marching and protest. That's not my form of resistance. But in May 2020, me and my wife, we was watching CNN News. This when really the pandemic, when nobody was going outside, airports are empty and everything. So I'm watching CNN News and I see Al Sharpton talking. He's in Minnesota right after the showing of the video. And when I saw Al Sharpton, I got angry because I got tired of these spokespersons for the status quo controlling the black voice and the black agenda. So I actually went there to want to confront him face to face and to ask him, why are you here? What is your purpose here? So I got my wife and kids and I drove from Detroit all the way to St. Paul and Minneapolis. And unfortunately, he was gone. But when I got there, I seen, because they had took over both cities, the police was jumping out of police stations, out the chimneys of police stations. The police station. It was a deserted city, but it was a lot of white people there, and they had Black Lives Matter signs up, buttons. But as I walked from block to block, I start seeing Black Lives Matter flags, but I also start seeing LGBTQ pride flags, the multicolored ones, side by side with the Black Lives Matter. So that set off some alarm bells for me when I saw that. So as I walked through Minnesota, I started seeing that 80% of the protesters were white. There were very few black people there, and the black people who were there were a part of the LGBT community. So that set off alarm bells. And as I said in my email, I realized that the Black Lives Matter movement of the summer 2020 was a golden opportunity for our people to be united, because we had a lot of black people who were disenchanted, who were mad, who were ready to be mobilized. So I start trying to promote specifically black solidarity and economic and political empowerment. But as I start talking about things like that, I start seeing most of the whites and almost particularly all the blacks start walking away from me. And they start saying, although they had Black Lives Matter flags and symbol up and shirts on, they start saying all lives matter. So at that point, I became disenchanted and became.
Hold, wait a minute, bro. So Pete, hold on. So at a Black Lives Matter rally, with people who are protesting in behalf of Black Lives Matter, they in turn start talking about all lives matter. That's confusing and perplexing to me, bro.
Yes, they were talking about all lives matter, and they was blatant about it. And the sad thing about it is the so-called conscious brothers who was there, they wasn't refuting what they were saying. They were just allowing the LGBT community and their supporters to dictate the narrative, the flow, and the energy of the Black Lives Matter movement. Because I went up there, like you say, brother, I'm not against a person's sexuality. But what I found out whether I go to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., all the places I've been to, with no exception, all of the leadership of the Black Lives Matter movement were of the LGBTQ community, and there were females, all of them. And I actually talked to one of them, and she, she confided to me is that they feel threatened by heterosexual Black men for whatever reason. This is what I start seeing with my own eyes. I started experiencing this, and this is what, like I say, this is when it became sad, because it wasn't about Trayvon Martin. It wasn't about it wasn't about George Floyd. It wasn't about Castile. It wasn't about none of them. It was about promoting a LGBT community agenda at the expense of heterosexual Black males getting killed by white police. It became obvious because they saw me as an existential threat. Whether I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, down there, where I was down there twice with Breonna Taylor's, their apartment that she got killed, or in Columbus, Ohio. They didn't want to promote Black Lives Matter in its true meaning. They was just using that slogan to promote the LGBTQ community. And it was obvious because they would distance themselves. And even the founders, I read to the founders one-on-one and talked to them. And they're not about Black Lives Matter. They're about LGBTQ community matters. And they're promoting, they're saying queer is the future because they have backing, they have the funding, and it got to a point now that when you bring up these issues or critiques, some people don't speak about this because they scared of cancel culture. Some of my Pan-African friends, African-centered Pan-Africanists, when we talk about this, they get quiet because they're afraid that the LGBTQ community is going to come at them for speaking truths.
Let me just say this, man. Look, again, I've said this before, and I got another brother on the back QA, and he wants to come in, and I'm going to give him an opportunity to come in and make a statement and ask a question. But, I mean, ultimately, my viewpoint on it is this. There's a time and a place for LGBTQ members to proliferate their agenda. It's a time. But the time is not when Black men, and by and large, this is a phenomenon that Black men are subjected to, okay? When Black men are suffering from a form of violence. Look, we can talk about LGBTQ rights or whatever the case may be, but there's a time and a place for it, okay? If, it's breast cancer time, you don't come in with a whole bunch of prostate cancer literature to talk about prostate cancer. You talk about breast cancer and you bring awareness to that specific issue. Now, we can talk about it behind closed doors. We can have a conversation about LGBTQ community issues in the Black community. We can do that. However, it has to be done inside of the context of the Black community, not outside of it, in magazine articles, in academic literature, which to me, I'm just going to be honest about this. This is an appeal to the white power structure in order to, basically create, or it's an apology for the carceral state to ramp up its protection against people who deem that they need protection from the brutal, nasty, and the vicious Black men. That's what this is, bro. I'm just going to keep this a buck, man. It's an appeal to white people to protect them from the brutal Black men. That's what this is. And at some point, how can you argue that you're actually pro-Black when most of your agenda is an appeal to the carceral state and white institutions to insulate you from interaction with Black men? How can you do it, man? How? How? So I got this guy who's been on the back for a little bit of time. I'm just gonna bring him in for a second. And apparently, you know, he's got the link. So, because I didn't put the link up, that link that you see right now rolling around in the chat is not the actual link to the show. But I want Brother Abdul Shabazz to come in and, you know, state his opinion and to perhaps maybe ask a question. It seems like he is away from his desk right now. So I'm just going to hold that right there. But how can you be pro-black? But the paramount issue that you have is how bad black people are. It's particularly black men. How can you be pro-black if all you're continuously doing is making an appeal to the shortcomings of black men without doing the same kind of work, you know, on yourself, pertaining to your own identity group or your own, you know, identity demographic? So, Brother Shabazz, man, if you can hear me, man, right now, you're on camera right now. Okay, you were in the back earlier. I know you're eating, you're grubbing or whatever. You got some comments, man?
No, man, I got a mouth full of food. No, I don't have any comments at the present moment.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you back. All right, so sorry about that. What do you think about that, man? I mean, what's your viewpoints, you know, about what I said about that?
Well, you know, you hit it on the nose. I'm just like you know, by the way, I'm 51 years old myself, and you hit it on the nose. We're not against anybody's sexuality. In fact, I have a lot of friends, a few friends that are Black LGBT community, but they're pro-Black completely. So I'm not against anybody's sexuality. What I'm against is you making that a criteria to join a movement. The reason why I say this, from all the cities I've been traveled to, every single one representative or spokesperson of the Black Lives Matter movement were female LGBT community Q members. They do not allow Black heterosexual men to be in a leadership position in this national organization that, by the way, 3 of them made $90 million off the dead bodies of Black heterosexual males. So that's what my thing is, not your sexuality, because you can do whatever you want to do. But what I'm saying is, when you make that a criteria, when you said that they're not for the Black agenda, you're right. But it's even further than that. They are anti-Black. As you said on one of your programs, they feel like they on probationary status to be honorary white people. They want the benefits of being white. They want the benefits of they want the power that white women have. They want the power that white men have. So it has become fashionable. If you want to accelerate your career, if you want to put your career on fast track, all you have to do is bash the Black man. So this is what the LGBTQ community have done within the Black Lives Matter movement. For example, you mentioned the upcoming National Black Political Convention of 2022. I have the agenda. I have the programs, the sessions that we're going to have, and there's a big sessions just for LGBT community, and you can imagine what the topics are: hypermasculinity, patriarchal dominance, violence against women, Black feminism, womanism. These are the titles of the national agenda, the upcoming one. So it's already infected by that, and nobody is saying anything about it. Everybody acting like they don't see it. They're not acting like they see it. But to answer your question, they're not pro-Black. That's why when you look at the founders of Black Lives Matter, all 3 of them are married to white lovers. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. And some of them with the money that come from Trayvon Martin, from Freddie Gray, from all of these other Black men, they have bought mansions with the money, and nobody call them account for that because they LGBTQ community. They done took all that money that they got from people like me who are giving our precious time, endangering our kids' lives by being at these protests when a full-blown pandemic. They took their money and bought them and their white lovers some mansions, $1 million mansions. They're married to white people. So that in itself, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with marrying white people, but what I'm saying is, like you had said, Elisa Garza, all of them, they were raised up in white community. They have white liberal value system. So in itself, they can't be pro-black. And by their actions, they're not pro-black. Because I'm gonna tell you this. At the time, my daughter, she's 4 at the time, she was 3 years old. We're passing out Malcolm X cards, and they're getting offended by that. We're passing out Marcus Garvey cards with quotes to Marcus Garvey, and people of the Black Lives Matter movement, the leadership, and I will get to that in a moment. When I encountered them, they're against Marcus Garvey. They're against Dr. Amos Wilson. They're against John Henry Clark and some of the findings of Asa Hilliard and Sheikh Anta Diop and people Malefi Asante. They're against them. And this is what they're telling me. And some of them are educated people. Some of them I've met, they got doctorate degrees. They teach in prestigious universities and they run in Black studies. But how could you run a Black studies when you are unflattered by how could you be the chairman of a Black studies department in a major university, top 10 university, and you don't like the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey? This was the type of stuff that I heard from their own mouths. And I didn't really get the feeling until August of 2020. Because wherever I went, that particular segment of the Black Lives Matter movement was controlling the agenda, and they didn't never want me to speak. They didn't want me to quote Malcolm X of things of that nature. So it was pretty evident, and you can't. They're not pro-Black in any way because their lovers are white liberals. They are trying to be what they call allies of white supremacy against us. That's why you see many of them are more in prominent roles, because they see if you take the route of an Oprah Winfrey, for example, and make the color purple, where it makes it characterize or presents Black men as sexual deviants and oppressive monsters, you can become a billionaire. You can get somewhere in life. And that's what's happening now. We have many of our Black scholars, so-called Black scholars, have jumped on this anti-Black male bandwagon in order to boost their own personal careers.
Man, I think you hit it right on the head, bro. I mean, look. Hey, we come up in a culture, man, where Black misandry, anti-Black misandry, man, is at an all-time high. And it's all predicated upon these narratives fabricated, woven by white women. And I mean, these other women have, for the most part, to the best of my knowledge, they've just basically hitched their wagon to this ideology, and it gained some currency in the context of the white liberal world, whether it be, the career world, the academic world, the political world. Identity politics is the buzz now. It's the best thing smoking right now. So therefore, if you proliferate these ideals, all developed initially, the root of it is white women. Okay. Now, I've done several shows to try to explain how sex and race, or the politics of sex or gender or race, they're not equivalent. They're not. Nowhere near the same magnitude of violence has been enacted against women throughout the annals of time, right, as have been, performed by people engaged, or cultures or societies engaged in genocide. And as far as I'm concerned, the gender politics didn't begin to surface in actuality in the way that it did until directly after the civil rights movement. Now, you had the suffragette movement, but even in that regard, the suffragette movement had tethers or connections to the issue of black men being able to gain the franchise. So you had Susan B. Anthony and, all of that crowd basically, arguing against black men being able to have the vote and to be able to enjoy the franchise, even though these men had fought, literally risked their life and limb in order to gain that right during the Civil War, right? We still, see, this attitude, this sentiment by white women that for some reason these brutal black men do not deserve the right to be able to actively direct, the policy, the laws, and the social structure of this country, going forward. And this is just another attempt, in my view, in order to continue that kind of energy, in order to continue that kind of policy. It's not it's indirect. Okay, it's not direct, but it's indirectly it has that impact and that effect. That's my viewpoint on this. Now, also, it's a way for white women to distance themselves from exactly what occurred during the colonial project and the slavery project that was enacted by European society. They acted as if, miraculously, directly after the civil rights movement, that they weren't actually actively participating in racial segregation. Like they weren't Jim Crow participants. But the record is right there for anyone to see. White women owned slaves, but they couldn't own property though, right? But they owned slaves, which were property. Okay? There's a book out there, they were her property. Okay? I forget the woman's name now. I can't conjure it up. And then not only that, white women were present at lynchings. White women, as well as white boys and men, were spitting on children trying to desegregate the schools, during, that period of Jim Crow, where all of the civil rights activism was taking place. Now, not to say that there weren't some white people who were actively involved in trying to combat that, because there were some white freedom riders as well, okay? But let's just be honest. These people have dirty hands just like everyone else, and this is a means by which for them to distance themselves from that narrative and that history while also being able to enjoy what the black people actually fought for on behalf of themselves. So now civil rights becomes something that white women are able to enjoy when they were actually engaged in the slave-based and the Jim Crow project, right? But now they're able to enjoy what was supposed to be allocated towards black people and specifically black men. So this, like Bill Burr said this, perfectly. White women swung their Gucci booted feet over the fence of oppression, and now all of a sudden they're victims. And they won't stop the same song and dance. It's perpetual. It doesn't stop. It's incessant. We're victims. We're victims. We're victims. We need protection. And that protection takes up specific forms. The forms are policies that basically are able to usher in punitive damages to the so-called men who violate them, but not at the same time disclosing the truth about the matter, which is sometimes women are just as nasty and are just as vicious as the men who they claim are victimizing them. Now, this is the issue that I have with all of this. Okay, now, it would be different if it were true. But we can't heal any issue in our culture, our society, whether the cultural issue is black or white, purple, brown, yellow, whatever. It can't be remedied by telling partial truths. It can't be. It never will be. But what we have now is a situation in which people are using, these policies. It takes the form of policy. It takes the form of institutions and departments and little, programs, kind of like the one you got established where Title IX is enacted and the Violence Against Women Act is referred to, without even like telling the truth about the fact that half of the time, not even half of the time, but 70% of the time, women are basically enacting violence on the people who they're in intimate contact with. So this is an issue that I have. Like, it's a problem to me. It is a issue to me, and it can't be remedied if we don't tell the whole truth about it. Now, do men do some shit this nasty? Yes, they do. But so do women. And that's the problem. We can't remedy this problem by misdiagnosing it. And so that's pretty much my, my general rant right there about this whole issue, bro.
Well, brother, I mean, you hit it on the nail. And one of the false narratives, or one of the biggest fallacies, is a white woman being a minority as well. And if you see most of the affirmative action program and other minority programs, white women are the biggest beneficiaries of that. In reality, the white woman has always been the allies of white supremacy. They always been the allies of promoting the status quo, subjugating people of African descent. Just to give you an example, when you look at Emmett Till, for example, many of the lynchings that happened to black men is because a white woman said it happened. She knew the consequences of what was going to happen to Emmett Till and many other Black Wall Street. So the white woman who tried to cast herself as this innocent person, a victim of white supremacy, no, she is the ally of white supremacy. And the white men has made the white woman their counterparts, their associates in maintaining white supremacy. The white woman has always been there's been Karens, there has been Beckys before their name was Karen Becky, for 200 and 300 years. And they are the ones that caused Emmett Till to get killed and multiple of other black men. So we have to get off this notion that the white woman is a victim, so therefore she's a minority. And the reality of the fact is she is a co-conspirator of white supremacy. So we gotta make that clear. I also want to bring up some points that you brought up, brother. You hit the nose on everything. When I went to North Carolina, and most of the protests, it was like I was at Woodstock in 1969. A lot of white people was there smoking weed, getting high, drinking, doing pills and everything. And I had wondered, how could these people be so cavalier and laid back when we got black people who are being tortured and killed by white policemen? Not just white policemen, but white men in general. So how could we come up here in a party-like atmosphere? But that's what I saw. It was like Woodstock, and all of the protesters, I went there. So most of them weren't serious. Now, you brought up, it's not about sexuality. And this one I want to bring up at the National Black Political Convention Committee that I'm on. If you notice, James Baldwin, Baynard Rustin, they never put their sexuality on the agenda. They are unlike the LGBT community of today, who is making the LGBTQ agenda paramount in black conventions. But James Baldwin was smart enough to not be taken in by that, and he didn't allow that, and he didn't allow his personal sexuality to interfere with a black agenda. That's the difference that we have now.
Before I begin, I want to talk about this troll I got in my chat right now called Tim Asuna.
Yeah.
I dare you to come to Huntsville, Texas and call me a woman to my face, motherfucker. Excuse me for saying that, but I dare you, motherfucker. Huntsville, Texas, bruh. Come talk to me like that to my face. I'm tired of these bum-ass dudes coming on my fucking show acting like we don't have any agency, like we dumb out here, because we having consciousness raising amongst ourselves about the injustices that's happening or occurring within the context of our community and society writ large. You fuck boy. Don't come on my show with that bullshit. And then, not only do we have agency, we've made life great for America. We built this shit, boy. So at the end of the day, don't come on my channel with that whole shit, bruh. Cause I'm God smacking Negroes, man. Coming with that bullshit. I live in Huntsville, Texas, bruh. You want it, you can get it. I'm just telling you, bruh. At the end of the day, bruh, I'm tired of all these trolls, bruh. You know what I'm saying? No, it has nothing to do with the brother Dennis Boatwright at all. He's not associated with it. But I'm here to conduct the show, man. Don't come to my channel with that fuckery, bruh. At the end of the day. I'm here to do a show. We talking about issues related to men. And this must be a macho guy, but I guarantee you, you won't be a macho man. I have you walking around like the village people coming to me with that macho shit, bruh. And I'm also from the bricks, bruh. You understand what I'm saying? I'm from the bricks, bro. I'm not from the suburbs, bro. I'm not from a little country hick town carrying little muskets and shit around. I ain't trying to disrespect them guys. But at the end of the day, man, hey, bro, I come from the bricks, bro. Don't come on my channel with that fucking bullshit. Bottom line. Respect and you get respected. I dare your ass to come to me talking like that to my face, dog. Real talk. Now, we can talk like men. You know what I'm saying? We can have real conversations like men, but if you want to come to me like you want to be on some old psycho shit, bruh, cut it out, bro. I'm here to tell you, man, I'll burn you to flames, boy. I don't play them games, man. You understand what I'm saying? Burn them to flames. We talking about what's going on with us. We fitting the pieces to the puzzle together. And you telling us we crying like women. And then you dissing women at the same time you saying that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you know, like if you come on my show, you're going to come with some respect. Leave it or love it. You ain't got to be here, dog, at the end of the day. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm God smacking. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I do, bro. You understand what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But brother Boatwright, I'm sorry that I diverted the attention, you know. So at the end of the day, all we doing is explaining something. We talking about reality. The reality is if a black agenda is not inclusive of black men and all it does is scapegoat and deride and stigmatize and mischaracterize black men, then it ain't what it is. It ain't no black unity, no black agenda. Period. If you exclude us and if you come to issue diatribes and invectives against us consistently without doing some introspection and looking at yourself and seeing what's going on with y'all just as well as us, then there is no agenda, bruh. There's a black there. That's a feminist agenda. Okay? Now we can talk about the issues we got, but I'm tired of all these women, man, earn whatever they consider to be the dirty laundry in the black community in front of white folks to gain sympathy and resources and careers. At the end of the day, man, that's all this is. So if you're really interested and you really honestly want to have a means by which to, you know, build coalitions amongst members of the black community, you can't be anti-black male. I don't know what that agenda is. I mean, I actually do know what it is, but it's not something I'm buying into. And let me tell you something, Dennis, man. Brother Dennis.
Look, show, man.
I also participated in the BLM protest initially when they first occurred. And I got on a bus and I went to Jefferson City and I protested. I did the die-ins, the sit-ins, the marchings, the sign holding, all that. Now, this was really actually before it became BLM. Because at first it was hands up, don't shoot. And I know for a fact, man, the brothers in St. Louis started this energy. You understand what I'm saying? The brothers in St. Louis, Darren Seals, and a whole host of other brothers, you know, young brothers and sisters, even some young ladies from the city, you know, of St. Louis, they kicked off this energy. And then all of a sudden, here comes everybody else with another agenda. And this agenda has been pre-established since the 70s, bruh. Now you're going to come and, you know, basically use the death of black men as a stepping stone in order to fulfill your own political objectives and desires. That's insidious politics to me, man. That's the bait and switch politics that we're dealing with. Now, again, we can talk about what was going on. You know, we can talk about what's going on with, you know, the rift between black folks and the LGBTQ community and heterosexual black folks. But first of all, we don't have to do it in front of all these white folks. And then with the pretext of being able to subject us to incarceration and social death by ostracizing us and trying to cancel us. Because canceling in and of itself is a form of oppression and violence, ushered in order to prevent people from being able to fully function and thrive within the context of the society in which we live. That's what it is. I'm telling you what it is right now. It ain't trying to work nothing out. It's trying to punish people and using white folks in order to do it. That's exactly what this is, bruh. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I ain't got time to play games, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming here to drop bombs, bro. And I'm sorry I got fired up, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. You know, I don't want this, what I'm saying, to have a negative impact on you, brother Boatwright. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Because I'm speaking for me. You feel me? That's all I can do. I can speak for me. Okay?
Well, you did good. No, I was saying you did good, brother. You know, I know how to hold my own. I've been surrounded by 60,000 of them, you know, and I talk like this, you know, when I'm right there with them. But you always going to have detractors, because as Marcus Garvey said, and many of our leaders says, including yourself on one of your shows, people fear a strong black man. So they're going to do everything in their power to undermine us. And what they do, they want to try to get people as close as possible to us. And the persons who are closest to us are the black woman. But they're using the black women that are part of the LGBT community to do it, because they got they got the credibility of being black because of their skin. So they're using them to try to turn people, black women, against the black men, and it has been somewhat successful. And this is why these women of the LGBT community, they're getting all the grants every day. You know, I read a paper, Detroit News, the Newark newspapers, and they showing that these groups are getting all the grant money as long as they title it as being for the LGBT community rights, or let's have a dialogue. But let's make this clear. The black man is the original person on this earth. Diop has proven it. Even white scientists have, it's a consensus now that we're the first. However, we've been exploited, we've been dominated, we've been attacked, we've been invaded, we've been incarcerated, but yet we're still here. And what anti-black people, because it's not just white people. This is not about white. Because you have, I met some white people that are more pro-black than many black people I know. So I want to make that clear. But it's not just whites that are, it's not just white supremacy that's a problem that's trying to keep us down. There are other groups that are trying to keep the black man down. But what's happening is, they know if the black man was to wake up, all of a sudden, there's 1.3 billion people, that white supremacies and other anti-black forces out there, they would have to contend with that. But if they splinter us, if they got the black woman losing confidence in the black man, they got the black woman to start looking at the black man as unattractive or dominant, because he's assertive, he's aggressive, he's a leader. If you, all of the qualities that a Malcolm X had or Martin Luther King had, all of these qualities of leaderships, the LGBT LGBT community and the black feminists of the 21st century are saying these are dangerous to women. They're promoting this narrative. As my brother just here said, toxic masculinity. Now, some women are buying off into that. They're buying off of that. And as I travel, I see some of these type of relationships going on. But let's let it be clear, brother. You don't have to apologize for what you're saying. You standing up for the black man. But because if you ever read some of the words, the Declaration of Independence, for example, read the words of George Washington. Have any white person ever told George Washington to tone it down a little bit so as not to offend the British Empire? They only say that about black men because it's not even about, see, the LGBT community. One thing about the black sector of that, the whites is eventually going to turn on them, but they're not turning on them because many of them do not have a black interest. Because when I was at these protests, and I was there for another reason, because I wanted to put a black perspective out there, and I thought that this would be included, but there was no diversity. And either I was shouting LGBT community rights, or they didn't want me to talk at all. And these are black organizers. These are black organizers. So,
but you know what the problem is? See, these people go to college, they learn this stuff, and they regurgitate this stuff. These schools, man, are the ones that are basically, these careerists are the ones who are basically guiding the agenda of the black community to actually thwart and to stymie our ability to come together and to do something for ourselves and our community. In actuality, now we can talk about like some of the things that are happening within the context of the black community that are problematic, but I mean, to only pin the tail on black men, fuck that bullshit, man. Not when we have social scientific evidence that demonstrates that women got the same nastiness and the same viciousness with them as do black men, especially as it pertains to these, because the only violence they can really be speaking about is violence within the context of either intimate partner relationships or sexual assault. But if you look at the record, man, there's a whole bunch of research on this, man, that basically demonstrates that men are subjected to sexual assault at roughly the same numbers as women. So there goes that. And then with the intimate partner violence issue, women are assaulting men more so than men are assaulting women within the context of those relationships. So at the end of the day, if they're not willing to talk about the facts, we just gonna have to divorce. And, you know, it's unfortunate, man, that, it's gotta be like that. But I consider myself to be a black masculinist, man. It is what it is. I don't care what people do in their bedroom, man. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay? I don't knock bed rusting. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the persons that organized the March on Washington and taught Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. how to engage in nonviolent civil rights protests. Nobody in the black community was like, what you got this faggot Negro doing, organizing, for the black community. Nobody ostracized him. Now, he might not have been a front man, but nobody told him he couldn't participate in the black struggle. The same with James Baldwin. I can't remember hearing a black person who was a black nationalist, pro-black radical, whatever, saying we need to stop James Baldwin from speaking. I've never heard of that, bro. I've never heard anybody say that. Now, like, did some of these people have a rough lot in life? Maybe so. Whatever, okay? But at the end of the day, nobody says James Baldwin is somebody who can't speak. We don't want him representing us. I've never heard anybody from the black community, especially political activists, trying to put a muzzle on him on the account that he was gay. Or Bayard Rustin for that matter. Now, they might not have been front men, but it was a whole bunch of people who weren't front men. Everybody can't be in the front. You can't have, all chiefs and no Indians. to use a metaphor, you can't have a million chefs and nobody, basically to eat the food. Somebody's got to take some orders and listen. Now, just on the account that you're a woman and you're dealing with this historical narrative about how women have been historically suppressed, okay, well, it is what it is. Yeah, Elaine Locke, nobody shut these people up and told them they couldn't talk, bruh. That's my issue with this, man. Nobody has silenced these people, bruh.
They did.
But now you're using this narrative. Now they're using the white narrative, man. All this stuff is cooked up by like people like Judith Butler, okay, Undoing Gender, and all these other, pseudo intellectuals who basically, they want to be able to be widely and openly accepted. Now, like, was sodomy illegal in the United States? Yeah, but it wasn't black men who created them laws. We didn't create them laws, man. We didn't create that. So all this patriarchy shit, man, I'm tired of hearing black women who are gay talking about how they've been oppressed. Most of these people come from the, like white liberal culture anyway. I'm just being honest, man. They have no connection, no tethers. Their experience is totally different than that of the average black person, man. Many of these people, man. I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it 100.
You know what, brother? I agree with you, and I applaud you for defending the integrity of black men because, like I say, we're a danger. A conscious brother like yourself is a danger to the status quo. So you're gonna have trolls coming on here saying, different things like that. That's expected. So I just take my hat off to you for doing this, going hard in the paint, because we need an advocate like yourself to continue that, because what's going to happen is they're using some of these black women, some of them, to try to turn against the black men. But they're not, there was a study that came out, and you're probably familiar with it already, that black men commit suicide 4 times more than the black woman, because he's pressured. Everything that goes wrong in the family is the black man's fault. Everything that goes wrong in the community is the black man's fault. It's always the black man's fault on everything. And all of these pressures on the black man, some of them are killing themselves. This is what a new study come out. Black men, not the black woman, who are getting so-called being oppressed. It's the black man.
And look, I don't know what it's like to be a black woman. I don't know. But I do know what it's like to be a black man. And I'm going to tell you, like Langston Hughes said a long time ago, life for me ain't been no crystal star, man. This ain't a walk in the park, man. Okay? And look, we can draw attention to black women's issues without having to say, well, our issues, need to take precedence over yours because we're rendered invisible. All this attention and energy is going towards black men. Like, I'm tired of the competition, the oppression Olympics. I'm tired of this, man. Quite frankly, man, it's appalling, man. I guarantee you, man, at some point in the future, we're going to look at this point in black history and say it was a low point. This is the nadir. This is the low point of black politics. It's the low point, man. And nobody's willing to speak on it for fear of either being canceled, which I don't even feel like that's the issue, really. I feel like nobody in this culture at the present moment is willing to, really, really willing to call out these termagants, which is, like just basically ignorant ass women for fear of being, identified as a bully of some kind. Look, man, if you're an asshole and you're a woman who's an asshole. If you're a man that's an asshole, you're a man that's an asshole. Okay? Period. Anybody can be one. A gay person can be one. A straight black man can be one. It is what it is. Anybody can be one. But to say, like, there's all this institutional support and all this cultural support for us on the account of we got scrotums, man, cut it out, man. Go, I'll tell you what you do. Go ahead and make yourself up as a black man. Go ahead and put on a fake beard, put on a cap, and walk the streets as a black man would, and see how you like it. See what it feels like. See how much negative energy comes your way. See how much disrespect you encounter on a daily basis. See how you gotta walk on eggshells. You understand what I mean? So at the end of the day, man, I'm up to my, like to the rim with brim, like the old coffee commercial, man. I'm up to, I done had it up to my eyeballs in this nonsense, man. At the end of the day, I done had it up to my eyeballs with it. I'm ready to move on to the next phase of politics. Now, I really would actually like to include black women who are conscious, who understand. But the extent to which they, want to continue to argue and to talk about our shortcomings without doing some introspection, I'm done with that, bro. I'm through with that. So if they're going to be used as a tool in order to further advance the objectives and the agenda of some white weirdos, man, y'all go do that, man. Y'all do that on your own time. But look, at the end of the day, I can't tell if it's a heaven or a hell. I don't know what judgment is going to be like, when we cross this plane to the next one. But if there is an arbiter of justice and who's able to look at all our deeds, like Osiris sitting on the throne right next to Hootie and, Heru and Ma'at, man, some people going straight to hell, bruh. I'm telling you right now, some of these people going straight to hell, bruh. Real talk. They're going to get burnt in the flames, bruh.
Brother, it's not so much of violence against women. That's the pretext that they use to make the black woman an ally of theirs to undermine us. Because if you, as you said in one of your programs, when they used to transport slaves to, to different localities, sometimes the black woman didn't be on, she wasn't chained up. She get to walk while the black man was in chain. And you mentioned an incident that was happening, that David Walker's appeal, how when some black men had gotten loose from their chains and they attacked some of the slave drivers, and it was a black woman who helped the man get back up and put him on his horse so that he can go get help. So they try to use, they don't like the black woman or the LGBT community, of the female version of them. They're using them to stabilize up, because there is no nation, I have never seen any nation prosperous and strong when the black male is a weakling in the household. So that's what they're trying to do. And when you really look at it, a lot of laws, there's many people that are reincarcerated because some woman, thousands of them, who send me letters telling me that they're back in jail just because they raised their voice at the black at their girlfriend. So their girlfriend called a parole officer, and immediately the police come and take the brother back to the jail, where he got to do 1 or 2 years just because the black woman said he yelled at me, he hurt my feelings. So they put him back in the jail. There's literally thousands of that, and there's many laws. For example, I was listening to some politicians, and they were saying that, I'm gonna show you how they're lenient on the black woman. Not only that, even for child support, they're slapping on child support on black men without any paternity tests, messing up their license, where they got to pay half of their wages that they work, and they owe $60,000 and $70,000 in child support, and they want to be a part of their kids' lives, but the woman doesn't want them to be a part of them. And she also knows that she got the white man as her ally. He got her back. He gonna make the black guy pay child support, even though he's taking care of his kids. He gonna put the black man in jail, even if he just raised his voice at a black woman or look at her in the wrong way. He's going back to jail. I've seen thousands of that. And not only that, there's a law They was having it on, they were talking to a sheriff, for example, and for example, prostitution. They said they're not, and by the way, all the people that's going back to jail for yelling, you know, raising their voice at their wives or girlfriends are black men. None of the white guys are there. They don't go back for there. It's the black man. The white man is so eager, and he has the black woman as his co-conspirator to keep these prisons open. But anyway, what I was saying is just to show you how they favor the black woman and some of the things that she may do wrong or may not so much wrong. But like, for example, prostitution. I was watching the news and they were talking about how they're going to deal with prostitution that was running rampant in, you know, Brooklyn, Baltimore, Chicago, and other big cities. And they said that they're not going to target the woman. They're going to target the man who's trying to buy sex. So even if this woman is out here, you know, selling her body, that's what I'm not being judgment. That's what she want to do. But the point is, they're locking up the black men for this in these big cities. They're not locking up the black woman for being a prostitute. They're not locking her up for soliciting money for sexual favors. They locking up the black man for that, taking his car, taking his money, making him bail out, and they let the black woman go on without even arresting her for that. And I'm not saying I want them to start arresting them, but what I'm saying is there's a major imbalance that's going on in society. There are many double standards that makes it even hard for black men to be black men. You have to whisper to say, when I was at some of those Black Lives Matter protests, I had to whisper that I'm a heterosexual, because to say that, they want to make it seem like you are against women, you are against LGBT community and things of that nature. But brother, I you know, Gigi, I want to bring this up. You know, I'm like this all the time. My wife, she's looking at, she probably smiling because she's always think I'm, you know, I'm amped up when we talk about our people. But anyway, last month in December, I went to Washington, D.C., you know, to talk to Tony Browder. And I had talked to Anthony Browder for 2 hours straight, uninterrupted, in a private conversation. And I brought up what we're talking about now. And he says that he had the same thing. He was kind of upset because he saw that people of the LGBT community being promoted by white liberals to take over black institutions. He said he was concerned. He said he was a little younger than me at the time, but he told me this. He said, brother, that happens every 30 years or so, 25, 30 years. The LGBT community arise to the top in their prominence and their power because of their promoting unnatural things, even to them, biologically. Eventually, they will overextend themselves and they'll burn themselves out and they'll wither away. I say this to say, so he told me, don't worry about it. He said, you just stick with facts. You stick with facts, and eventually they're going to go away because they're no different than these other pop-up groups. He said they did it in the 80s. They was promoting it in Woodstock right around the 1972 convention. So he told me, he said, brother, don't worry about it. He said, they'll be gone, give them 5, 6, 8 more years, and they'll lose their prominence. But I say this to say this. How you and I talk, I say this openly. Where I go, this is who I am. And I have had some members of the Black LGBT community come to me and tell me that when they joined the LGBT community, their little meetings, they found out that it was nothing but anti-black male conferences or meetings that they have. And she said, I didn't become, even though I have a different sexuality, I didn't become an LGBT community in order so that I can talk about black men. So I say this to say, brothers, this. I am giving counsel. I have given counsel to women who are going to psychologists saying that they want to come back to admiring and seeing a black man as sexually attractive to them. And this is what we need to do. We need to do a study because I travel so much. People hear me talk, they hit me up on my email, Facebook page, contacting me, and they telling me how they were duped by the LGBT community, particularly the white liberals of the LGBT community, and they want to come back to start liking black men and looking at us favorably. So there needs to be a study because you got a lot of people, and many of some of the audience that's listening, you can see this, or maybe we can contact some psychologists. A lot of black women are getting psychological counseling, psychiatric counseling from counselors. They're getting they're going to they're getting therapy because the LGBT community and the anti-blackness is messing some of these sisters' mind up, and some of these sisters are starting to wake up. And I have had many of them personally tell me the things that I'm saying, but they're telling me, fortunately, this fad of being LGBT community and queer is the future. And like I said, I'm not against nobody's sexuality, but don't start using that to talk about the black men, because most of black men are in their kids' lives. But what I'm saying is I see, as Professor Anthony Browder said, that this phenomenon is going to leave us again. It's going to leave us in a few more years, and it may pop back up in 2060 or 2065. But how you beat them with knowledge. Because one thing about it is, as an African-centered person, I practice Ma'at, which is not a religion, but are based on pure African spirituality ideals that promotes harmonies, that says that men and women are not enemies or antagonistic against the others, but they are compatible and they are there to help each other. So this is what we have to do, because what they're doing, most of them, I didn't talk to one of the leading persons of the ADOS, Yvette Carnell. They're not that intellectual. They're going off emotions and how they feel and what somebody, Angela Davis have said or some other people. But when you engage in them intellectually, one-on-one, they fall apart and they storm out the room. So that's what gave me solace somewhat when I heard Anthony Browder's words, because I see it going on today. That phenomena, the black man ain't going nowhere. We are natural. We really are the gods, based upon what Aristotle and all of those Pythagoras, when he was coming to Egypt, we are the gods. So we're not going anywhere. So those people that want to come with all this circus type stuff, let them do their stuff. Let them get their shine. Because what's natural, what the Creator wants us to do, is always going to prevail. Men and women predominantly are going to make up the nuclear family in order to procreate. You're going to have these different movements that are being used by white supremacists to undermine the black man's authority in his own household.
Okay, so we got a Boondocks character here, man, called Channel 22 Detroit. He says, "Man, teach the babies." Well, look, here's one thing you got to be really aware of, okay? And this is something I'm very aware of, that, prior to desegregation, black people had their own school systems. We taught each other, okay? We had male and female teachers who were, basically enthusiastic, erudite, and were, very concerned about making sure that we had the best of the best kind of education, okay? How the fuck we gonna teach the babies when you take the fucking babies to public school, dude? What you gonna teach them? And then they become latchkey kids, and they're babysitters, and the people who look after them, or people who don't like them and who hate them. How the fuck you gonna teach the babies, bruh? Then you got single parent families. Who the fuck teaching them, bruh? I'm just saying. You talk about let's teach the babies, bruh. Who teaching them? The men aren't even present in their lives. And it's not just, I'm asking you a question, bruh. You are coming for drama with them fucking caps and all this bullshit. You coming here putting LOLs and shit in my chat. So bring your black ass on up and have a cogent, rational conversation without all the fucking theatrics, or shut your ass up and go fucking somewhere else. You said you was out the last chat. Why you back again? Why you fucking zoning on what we talking about? If you don't like what you hear, get the fuck out of here. Holla at you. And teaching the babies ain't even saying shit. Because you got to figure out how we going to teach the babies. If the system ain't established for us to actually have any impact and autonomy about how we teach the babies. Because, look, I done a whole bunch of research on Afrocentrism, and most of what they talk about is how we gave up our capacity to educate our babies. And we handed them over to white folks. You talking about teach the babies. Teach them what? What you gonna teach them? You a school teacher, bruh? Have you ever taught anyone anything? Like, what do you teach? What's your area of expertise? What do you specialize in? What the fuck do you know? Have you ever taught a class? Have you ever developed a syllabus and taught anyone anything? I doubt it. So I'm going off, man. Look, I'm God smacking motherfuckers tonight. I don't have time for bullshit. Because teaching the babies ain't even saying nothing. You're not even saying anything. Teach them what? What's the content of what we're supposed to teach them, bruh? Math, science? What are we supposed to teach them? In the case of black boys, man, we're at a point, man, where a lot of these young boys are illiterate, man. The public school system is not ensuring that they have the capacity to take advantage of the opportunities that exist within the context of the 21st century, bruh, and beyond. And I am a teacher. I've taught many classes, wrote many papers, and actually have mentored youth, boys and girls. So all this teach the baby shit, man, get the fuck out of here with that Bojangle nonsense. It ain't making sense, bruh. And if you don't like the content of what's going on here, bruh, get the fucking stepping, man. Half of you niggas some agents anyway. You know what I'm saying? Half of you niggas, man, is some straight agents and some white motherfuckers somewhere sitting back with blackface on. And you talking to somebody who's a teacher, who's taught most of his adult life, is what I've done. Talking about teach the babies. Are you a school teacher? Do you have a certificate? Do you have any styles of pedagogy in order to teach anybody any goddamn thing? What's the content of what we teaching them, bruh? Because the last time I checked, the television is what's teaching us. Propaganda is what's teaching us. But again, you won't step up like the coward you are. You won't come in, you won't say, like the coward you are, you won't say what the content of what we supposed to be teaching people is. I say we teaching the truth. Justice, balance, order, compassion, harmony, reciprocity. That's the 7 principles of my in case you must know. But right now, we ain't got a lot of truth in what we saying. And when we start talking about truth, you got a lot of coons who come up and like to create dissension. They don't want to listen, they want to talk, and they ain't even saying nothing. I said, come on up. Tell us what we supposed to be teaching. What's the content of what we supposed to be teaching, bruh? What's the pedagogical strategies we're supposed to be employing? What we supposed to be teaching them?
You know what, brother?
I'm tired of niggatry, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's getting to the point, bruh. This is why sometimes I take a break from this shit. Cause for real, man, dudes in real life who talk like this, man, like, what you gonna do? You ain't really saying X, Y, and Z. Man, I'll be done smack the shit out of one of these dudes, bruh. I ain't even lying. I'm just keeping it 100, man. I'm serious, bruh. It's like, man, how disrespectful can you be? Like, if you don't want to have anything substantive to provide to the conversation, get the fuck off, man. Go somewhere else. It's really simple. This shit it's not rocket science, bruh. We done had shows on this. Like, who's actually teaching our children? The public school system is teaching our children, man. And primarily, who are the teachers at the public school system? Who are they?
You know what, brother? If I can interject right
This
now,
bitch ass nigga off my shit, man. Fuck that dude, man.
you know
I'm
what?
tired of whole shit. I'm tired of whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if either you gonna come get down or you not. Either you gonna say something or you not. Say something of substance, bruh. That's all I'm saying. Bring your ass up. Either get down or lay down. And I got a whole bunch of partners in Detroit too. Whole bunch of them. Whole lot of dudes from Detroit. One of my best friends from D-Town. Go ahead, bruh.
You know what? You make some great observations, and you're gonna have people like that that's been miseducated, and they're gonna be over heckling us and different things of that nature coming on the show. But what this really all about, brother, this is really about turning the black woman against the black man. This is an attempt to undermine the black man's authority in his family's household. This is what this is all about. So why? The best way to do that is to get the black woman. That's why, I had took my wife, I think we went to the African Arts Festival in Brooklyn, New York, over there in Bed-Stuy at the Commodore Stockton Park in Brooklyn. And Leonard Jeffrey said something. He pulled my wife to the side because he's seen her with her kids. And he pointed out her importance in the struggle. Because see, a woman's lap is the first schoolroom a kid will attend. It's the woman.
Facts.
Matter of fact, the kid, according to Amos Wilson, Francis Cress Welsing, Naeem Akbar, all of these prominent psychologists say that a woman is communicating with her child before it even comes out the womb. So a woman is the first teacher that a kid gets. So this is why they are attacking the woman, because all of these false notions of man's, we are monsters, we are domineering, we are misogynists, we are violent people. And you have some men that are, but you have some women are as well. But what I'm saying is they are attacking the black woman. And how are they attacking the black woman? They're using black women who are part of the LGBT community. Because most women, women have nice souls. They very sometimes agreeable, sometimes believable, because they got a good heart. They always want to look at the good side of people. So what happens is that's why it's easier for a vacuum cleaner man to get in your house when you're going to work. That's why he used, when you look at, especially in the 70s and the 80s, you'll see one of the tactics of a vacuum cleaner salesman who's selling this very expensive vacuum cleaner that is worth in really less than 10% of what he's selling it for. But he does it while he would notice the vacuum cleaner sellers, these insurance agents, they come about between 12 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon while the man is at work. So what I'm saying is this: some of these women of the LGBT community, and I'm not saying all of them, because you have some of them are pro-black or some are good people in general, even white ones. But what I'm saying is they're using the black females of the LGBT community to whisper in the ears of black women to undermine us. And the black women, as I said, she is the one that has direct access to little boys. She has direct access to little girls. But what white supremacy are more concerned with, they're more concerned that she's going to be teaching the little black boy that's going to grow up to be a Kwame Nkrumah, a Malcolm X, a Marcus Garvey, or W.E.B. Du Bois, or even a Harriet Tubman for that matter. So that's what we're dealing with here. He's attacking the black woman in the hope that she can undermine the confidence that the black woman has in the black man, and it is working. It's not so much women's sexual biology is changed all of a sudden. But the propaganda that they, like you said, they're getting at these schools, they're watching these movies, Power, and some of these rap songs by Drake, you know, whereas I like women and like women, or whatever he says to that matter. What I'm saying is they're listening to this propaganda and they slowly start to lose the confidence in the black man and starting to see black man as something that's unattractive. So that's why the white man, no, he's not going to get us, because a person like me, I'm ready to put my life on the line. I'm ready to sacrifice, whether it's go to jail or anything of that nature for our people. So this is what they're worried about. They're not worried about the black woman. They're worried about that she's going to create some more Nat Turner, some more Gabrielle Prossers, some more Dr. Clarks, or some Asa Hilliards. That's what they're worried about. So they're turning her against us and make them to believe that books like this, they don't want, they're making them to believe that these books are full of hate when it's about empower. They want us to turn against Dr. Clark. They don't want to read books like Dr. Clark. This is the whole problem. It's not about LGBT rights, because black men, we're the most tolerant. As you said, in the civil rights movement, there was no anti-gay campaign. All the people had a voice, but the white man in the 21st century has found, I don't know, because it's a short of a man or whatever it may be, but they found some members of the LGBT community that are black and they're who has credibility in the black community, some of them, and they're using them to spread this propaganda and whisper these things in the ear of the black woman. And it's kind of working because it's fashionable. It's fashionable now to say, you know, I go both ways, or I like women too. And you got some men are promoting this propaganda, but they don't know that that type of propaganda, it's not so saying that it's not that the woman is saying that she wants another woman. That's the problem. But when she's saying that, some of them mean that I want a woman because I don't like the black man no more. Not just sexually, but what he stands for. So this is the root of the problem. They're attacking, they're using black women in the LGBT community to try to get in our wives or our girlfriends, our mates' ear, to turn it against us so that we won't be on the shows like this talking about black and political empowerment. I have read, you know, I don't know how long we got, but at some, maybe in a future time, I can give you some personal experience with the founders of the Black Lives Matter. I ran into them in Louisville, Kentucky. I went down there twice and I saw them, and they said some startling things that let me know that they're phony. They're part of the status quo. That's why I wasn't surprised that they took that $90 million and shut down the Black Lives Matter, and we don't hear nothing from them. Well, that's what I'm saying is, brother, we got to make this clear. What this is about, and for all you women or men that's looking at this, it's not about promoting LGBT community rights, because we promote their rights already. I don't, you know, black people, the most tolerant, liberal people on earth. This is about undermining the black man's authority in his household as well as community. And how do you do that? By turning black women against the black man. So this is really what it's about. So we got to put it out there like that.
Okay, well, you know, we almost at the 2 hour mark. I got one brother who wants to make a statement, and he might want to ask you a question. So I'm gonna invite Ian Graves on. What's happening, bro?
Hey, what's going on? Peace, bro. How you doing, sir? What's your name?
Dennis Boatwright, brother Dennis Boatwright.
Oh, okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yes, you know, just recently I found out, and I appreciate all your work that you've been doing in the community and so on and so forth. So, within the context of your work, did you actually have women who actually saw the same thing and could support and validate what you said, and in some cases might support your observations?
You know what? That's a great question. I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, that's why I say the truth is coming out. I had, in Michigan, and I'm not going to bring any cities. I had the local leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, and as I said, they all are LGBT community. All leaders, you must be uh, you can't be a heterosexual black man to be in any positions of authority in Black Lives Matter. This is a fact. But what I found is that uh some of the people who, like, even like I say, it's not this that the LGBT community or their sexuality. That's not the issue with me. But I had some of them tell me privately, because I was wondering why, did nobody want to listen to me, won't let me, they don't pass the mic to me sometime. And this lady told me, LGBT community told me, she said, behind the scenes, they promote y'all, the black man, as the problem. And she said, this is why I have stepped down from my position in this particular major city in Michigan, not Detroit. And I had many of them tell me, even recently, some of the people that I had mentioned that are going through therapy, that are seeking psychological counseling, is because they were leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, but since George Floyd, 3 months after George Floyd's death, they started realizing that this movement is not about Black Lives Matter men. It's about attacking the integrity, the authority of the black men in service of the white people. I have many people, and some will probably want to come on this show, ironically, who they are part of the LGBT community, but at the same time, they're trying to promote a black agenda, and they often get in arguments with other LGBT communities, especially the white ones, who try to silence people like you and myself for talking about political and economic empowerment. Because I say this, brother, this, I think I had went out there at the personal risk of my health. The COVID was strong. Nobody really know what havoc that was going to do. And like yourself, I was watching CNN, watch these numbers go up like the stock market. But I was so infuriated that what I saw, I risked my own health. So I say this to say, I done seen many people of different races, ethnicity, and religions that are for a black agenda. But there are some of these people, most of these people are not. They are promoting LGBTQ community. The only thing is they knew that they can't get the political clout without using who is always the poster child of oppression. It's black people. How many women Nelson Mandela's you got that spent 27 years in prison? Did Ella Baker get killed like Malcolm X? Did Fannie Hugh Hamer get killed like Martin Luther King? No.
Well,
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? Let me interject in that right quick. At the end of the day, we all know counterinsurgency measures, man, and how genocide takes place. We already know how it takes place, bruh. And we watching it in real time. And it's unfortunate, man, that we got a lot of people, man, in the black so-called community willing to participate in it, man, for their own personal interests. Or to settle a vendetta, or because they angry or upset or something. Whether it be a straight woman or a gay woman. It don't matter to me. Because you can be a straight black woman and buy into this ideology and still utilize these policies and these systems and institutions that are in place in order to make life hell for us. And to buy into this negative stereotyping and this mischaracterization about who black men are and what kind of values we hold and, what our moral turpitude is all about. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm going to do a show tomorrow and I'm going to tell you it's 3 types of men. You got machos, mushos, and you got black masculineness, man. You know what I'm saying? Really, for real. Like, you got macho men who feel like they run everything, but really, actually, they're getting played like a funky piano. Then you got the mushos, we all call them simps. And then you got black masculinist, man. At the end of the day, man, we don't even want to have to engage in this politics because it's an unnatural politics to begin with. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know one man in my personal life who never entertained or listened to his woman with a great deal of sincerity. Like, what do you, ask for their, opinion, or ask, like, what do you think we should do? Like, I don't know no dudes just dictating, you better get in that kitchen and make me a sandwich or else. I don't know that, man.
That don't happen. That don't happen.
Man, I mean, like, I'm just saying, all this so-called, I don't like, Dr. Johnson and them just did a report or a show on, like, the single womanhood and why they want to avoid heterosexual relationships or relationships with men. All brought to them by these white women who, look, these white women let go of that shit. This radical feminism, they let go of that shit in the 80s, bruh. All these women, like, a lot. I did a show on this, man, 2 years ago, bro, where you had the angry women and they created communes where nothing, it was just all women. And they basically found out women are just as big of assholes as are men, if not worse. But now this politics is the paramount. Now you got women in the academy who was part of that radical contingency. Now they are like professors in universities and they teaching new impressionable minds all this trash about how oppressed women have been throughout history. Now, have women, like, had their own world and occupied positions within it? Yeah, of course. The same as men. Like, all men have not been at the top of the so-called patriarchal order any goddamn way. Like, you had nobles. So you mean to tell me a noble woman in Europe had less power, than a peasant or a vassal or a bondsman or a liege? This shit is it's absurd, man. But we got to listen to this whole stupid, dichotomy that carves and cleaves the world apart into men and women, and the women are the proletariat, the men are the bourgeoisie. Don't matter what race, what social economic status or class, all men want to dominate women. But in actuality, man, if you listen, pay attention, bruh. Right now, people will tell you exactly what they're doing by telling you what you're doing. Pay attention, bruh, to how these people talking and find out if they not doing the same shit that they claim that you are doing. Pay attention to that, bruh.
Yeah, facts.
Pay attention, because a lot of times people will tell you what they doing by telling you what you doing. Real talk now. Pay attention, because a lot of times people will tell you what they doing by telling you. Yeah, so somebody,
that was my fault. Yeah, you correct, but we need to have this type of conversation, even amongst black women, even amongst the LGBT community, the black ones, because a lot of them are miseducated. When you being miseducated, you are successful also to the facts. So what we need to do from our perspective is to keep presenting the facts. Keep showing the black woman, because this is what it's about. It's not about us trying to gain acceptance or approval or confirmation for other people. This is about us identifying and create a stronger bond with the black woman. This is what this is about. You're going to have these people that's going to be grabbing at us, trying to disrupt, trying to destabilize what we're doing. And like I say, right now it's the LGBTQ community, and the only reason is them because they use Trayvon Martin, because they didn't want it. Just imagine if you and I was the founders of the Black Lives Matter, we probably would knew it would have a different trajectory. It would have a different direction. But they got these women and allowed them, and they fund them, especially the Democratic Party. They fund them, gave them all kind of grant money, and built these women up. As you often say, they gassed these women head up to turn them against us, so that Black Lives Matter will sputter out just exactly as it did, because we had these three LGBT LGBTQ community founders who got the money and they're left. So they kind of like discredited themselves. Nobody, I'm surprised they're not holding hearings on that. What happened to the money? What happened to the movement? There are still people, black men are still being gunned down by police. Nobody is calling them a question of what you do with the money. Over billions of dollars was being donated to this, but these three people, founders of the LGBT community, have not been held accountable for taking that $90 million for themselves and buying these big mansions for themselves and their white lovers. Nobody is talking about this because they did exactly what they wanted to do. Look at all the songs. Look at all the movies. As the brother pointed out, Power. I don't watch that TV too much. I watch news and sports, but look at some of the commercial of black men kissing each other and all of this kind of stuff because they have done their job since George Floyd. We have never seen it on this proportion. They have done their job. Now they go back to their own personal lives, and we're left with women who are questioning our integrity as a man. Things that, for example, one lady told me, I was talking, and somewhat passionate. I got a little velocity in my voice. And she told me this. She said, I had to listen to you. I had to ask you some questions after the program because I like your masculinity. I like that you are male. This is attractive to me. This is not a turnoff to me. This is not a turnoff. So, but women were being taught and indoctrinated to see their man who is a leader, who's assertive, who is have self-love, who's passionate about a cause. They was taught to think of it, and we're the problem. We're the one holding them down. And they rewarding women who think like that by making them CEOs above men. They're picking them above men. And I don't have no problem with that because if you have the credentials and you have the knowledge and the skill set to be promoted, then more power to you. But don't use that as a criteria, you bashing black men in order to get a promotion. Don't that's where the problem come in at. But we have these women, and slowly but surely the black woman is coming back to her senses. And she is seeing that not only are they our wives, our girlfriends, but they are our partners. We are compatible. There's nothing antagonistic about a black male female relationship. The problem is that we have these European values that comes from all the way back and even farther as Aristotle and Socrates, who said that the highest form of sexual expression is to have sex with little boys. Why don't they talk about this? And these are in the books. Why don't they talk about this? But so this moral decadence is being promoted in the black community it's like drugs. What the LGBT community doing is just as bad as promoting crack cocaine and heroin in the community, because what they doing is they tearing up the fiber of the family, where women don't want other black men. They want white women or white men because of the propaganda that they have been succumbed to.
And let me say this to your point. I think part of it is even more simple, is that they're using the LGBTQ as a litmus test for whether or not black men are qualified to be in these movements. So they put them in these movements to say, okay, look at the dichotomy. You have this passionate black man and then you have this dichotomy of this LGBTQ more docile individual. And so they're trying to show a contrast by putting heterosexual black males and LGBTQ in the same activist spaces. So they can say, here is the proof, right? So understand this, I had some of the same issues when I was fighting for reparations. It wasn't necessarily LGBTQ, but it was black feminists. But black feminists know to use LGBTQ. So a lot of times we have to admit, black women are using LGBTQ as that litmus test. They will bring these LGBTQ to make this dichotomy. And I know I sent to Gigi in his DMs, Kimberly Crenshaw. She was responsible for writing the equality clause well, she didn't actually write it, but she is cited as being the basis for the equality clause, the LGBTQ in South Africa, right? So now in South Africa, the LGBTQ are more powerful than the actual Black community itself. And so what happens is now when a Black man who is passionate and wants to speak up against oppression, all they have to do is present an LGBTQ person, and now he's toxic masculine, so you don't even have to listen to what he has to say.
I'm gonna do a show on that too, man. Like, all of this is the product of 50 years of propaganda, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like oversaturation. And it's a tactic that, you know, the people from these organizations already had ahead of time. This shit has been in the works for like 50 years. You understand what I'm saying? So now you're seeing it blossom, but the seed was planted 50 years ago. And by the way, you know, I did an article or a show on the subject matter of that woman who used to write for Cosmopolitan, that white woman who basically came forward and said, you know, we were taught to say a whole bunch of different things about women and careerism and sexual openness and, you know, the sexual revolution.
Saying that that she made it all up.
Well, I mean, of course they made it up. I mean, you know, like I hate to tell you this, bro, but like most of the stuff that you get out of the feminist philosophy is just made up. Just like philosophy is just made up. It's not based on hard objective facts, you know, like empirical data of any kind. It's just the recycling and the rehashing of frameworks and arguments that after a certain period of time get accepted as truth without any verification, without any procedures of falsification, none of it. It's just like, okay, well, we feel this way, we have this standpoint, and we're gonna, you know, echo it over and over again, and then eventually it's going to be accepted as the truth. Look, man, Ellen Pence, she created domestic violence law. She created the Duluth model, man. You understand what I'm saying? Like, basically, she tells you in a paper, man, that was written in 1993, we made it up. We created this. We fabricated it. We came up with a strategic methodology for developing this policy. And here's how we did it. And then she goes on in the later portions of the paper to say, we were misguided. We were engaged in confirmation bias. But it's not the policy of the land. And it's enshrined into, you know, like law and, you know, institutions in the academy and elsewhere, in government all over the world, man. And it's all based upon some shit that some women just sat back and cooked up, motivated by what I would consider to be misandric ideas and hyperbole. But it's the prevailing order of the day, man. But it's a way, as far as I'm concerned, to detract away from social and political issues of substance and heft. So if you talk, I call it the politics of fucking. Like, if all you're talking about is the politics of fucking and oppression related to fucking, what's the price to pay related to making sure that there's justice related to that kind of politics? Little next to nothing. You definitely don't have to repair historical injustices that go back 400 or 500 years. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is put somebody on a show and show them kissing or having sex with somebody, or give them a position in an infrastructure that's already basically unfair and unjust. So if all you want is your piece of the nasty, sick ass pie, then okay, if that's your politics, if this is what black politics actually boils down to now, is the politics of fucking and interest group politics without changing the basic structure of the society in which we live, it's a bankrupt politics. Now, if all you want to do is make sure that, you know, gay people don't get beat up, like, where are they getting beat up for real, man? Like, in like thousands and thousands and thousands, bro. Where? I don't know one person. I know some guys that have shot at each other. I don't know one dude that went off on the account that he don't like somebody gay and went to shoot him up or have a fight with him.
That don't happen, bro. It don't happen.
I don't know one dude, man. I swear to God, I don't know one guy in my personal life. And I know a lot of dudes, man. Never met one that done anything like that. But I know they done went somewhere with a pistol and then drew it on another dude. I'm just keeping it 100. Like,
Fact.
it is what it
Fact.
is. Like, I ain't gonna say I don't know no dudes that have not ever engaged in something that was like, reprehensible morally in relation to how they interacted with women. Because I have, come across some guys like that, And I, like sometimes I get nasty with women or whatever the case may be. I have in the past. But like the reality of the situation is, how much nasty shit do women do? Like, I'm just saying, like, we're look, human beings are human beings, man. Both men and women have the capacity to be virtuous or vicious. It's time to stop putting these fake narratives out, which is basically detracting away from how to actually create greater equality and greater justice in the cultures in which we live. Now, if you want to exclude black men from the family, you go ahead and do that, man. But all you're going to do is produce the same pathology you say you're trying to avoid in the first place. It's about harmony, truth, justice, beauty, wisdom, and we ain't nowhere near it.
And have you heard of Kate, and I'm sure you have, Kate and Mallory Millett, who were I guess they're credited for one of the waves of the feminism. And this white guy was on Clubhouse. He said part of their statement in terms of their I think it's second wave they were involved in. He said that they were saying that patriarchy was responsible for the sexual oppression of minors, meaning that within feminism itself, they were trying to promote a younger age in terms of sexual debut, and trying to justify it and saying that patriarchy or toxic patriarchy was the gatekeeper, of not allowing children their full sexual expression.
I read the paper on that, man. You ain't see the show?
I think so. I don't remember. I might have missed it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I already did a show on that, man. I read you one of the pioneers in that whole tradition. Who basically came from.
You know what, Gigi and the other brother, I forgot your name. You said it, but
Ian.
Plus, hopefully we can exchange. Gigi you can give my number. We can text each other, email each other, and share knowledge, and come up with some ideas to better our community. But I want to see the black woman, even the white woman, have to open their eyes to a certain extent, especially the black woman, because it was the white man who raped the black woman. He raped her. He is the biggest raper. So how are you going to give this same person credibility all of a sudden? He has not changed. He is the same person. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to make the woman even more sadder. Because I'm going to tell you this. There's a lot of single women out here that are very sad that they don't have their mate or companion or husband or boyfriend or whatever it is, because they have bought into the propaganda of these white liberals and these phony feminists who are not promoting femininity, but they're promoting an aspect of it that is beneficial to upholding the structures of white supremacy. So this is what we have to. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The white man, the black man don't care about the black. He don't care about the white. He's the same. He used to rape the black woman. That's how we look. Our different hues. Like Malcolm X said, his hair was that color because a white man raped his grandmother or somebody. What I'm saying is, this is the same man that raped millions of women. It was legal to rape billions of. It was legal to rape black women. This is the same person who is now trying to undermine the integrity of our race, our gene pool, by turning the black woman against us. And who is better?
The black woman has chosen the white man and the white woman as her champion. And because the black man has been demonized as the black boogeyman within feminism, right? Most feminism hinges on the fact that there is a black boogeyman, the black male rapist per se. And so black women, in their naivety, say, okay, the white woman and the white man, they will protect me from the black man. And so they're going along with that. So they don't give a damn no more about what happened in the history of slavery. They claim they do, when they get next to the white man and they're trying to edge out a white woman, they'll be like, oh, you know, y'all are racist, y'all this and that. And really only they're trying to get more sexual proximity to the white man. They're trying to guilt this man into accepting them sexually. And that's really to the real their hypergamous nature is really just driving them to that. They're not really interested in freedom and real equality.
Well said. Well said. You know, and like I say, you never seen a white woman, a white Ida B. Wells that's anti-lynching, anti-black male lynching. Susan B. Anthony was nothing about that. And so I want the black woman to realize that you got all of these people coming as her friends that don't care nothing about her. Because that same person that's trying to turn you against the black male, he's going to be turning women against your own son when he grows up. So you're supporting the system that's ultimately is going to be against your own son or your own grandson. That's what's happening.
They know, yep, that's what's happening.
Because I'm gonna tell you this, I'm in a happy marriage, by the way. And me and my wife, we fight like cats and dogs. You know, one day she get on, one day I get on, but we best friends. You know, it's just a part of, you know, a relationship. I would say getting mad at each other, falling out and everything. But my wife loved me, and I love her to death. But what I'm saying is, we talk about this, you know, at the house, and we see that a lot of women, especially her, my wife is 21 years younger than me, by the way. So she's with this younger culture. But my wife told me, and you know, she's been around certain people that she's not going to be, she was smart enough not to be turned against the black man. And come to find out, some of her friends used to tell her they was trying to propaganda. They said I was going to be trying to control her and all that. And the total opposite has happened. My wife says I'm the most liberal person she have ever met, even in her parents and grandparents. I'm the nicest one. Don't bother. She gets to do what she want to do. She gets to do things that I do. But the point is this: the black woman has to be smart enough not to fall victim to these so-called, all of a sudden, white women minorities who their friends, the same one that used to spit in their face and bust them upside the head with baseball bats when they found out that the slave master came in the back in the women's corner and raped them and had sex against them, against their will. It was the white woman who would come out there with baseball bats and beat the woman because she couldn't do, because the white woman said it was a black woman's fault for her husband for raping the white black woman who was a slave. She blamed the black woman for that. Called her.
Brother, there was a law that had to be put in place because white women were killing so many slaves out of this sense of vindictiveness. There's a law that was put in place, you know, restricting the white woman from killing slaves because of the level of her vindictiveness, but now she's her best friend.
Hey man, you know it is what it is, bro. But you know,
these same women, this is the last thing I will say is brief. These same women, these black women, you know, at the end of the day, the white woman go home to her man, whereas the black woman is gonna go home to nobody because she got tricked to believing that her king and she the queen. She got convinced that her king is a tyrant or authoritarian monster, while the white woman, like that's why you say when they come through all of these marches and Black Lives Matters, I told them this in Lansing, they go right back to their white husbands, where the black woman go home to nobody and don't have a man and wonder why that all of a sudden, you know, they miserable and sad because they single and lonely and try to play like I don't need a man because they done bought off into this propaganda. So,
hey, bro, let me tell you how serious this is, and then we're gonna wrap this up because we're at the 2-hour mark, and I want to thank you for joining me, Dennis, man. And we need to brainstorm because I got some ideas, you know, that we need to have expressed in this new Black National Convention that you having, man. And you know, I didn't want to, you know, kick anything to you initially because it was just something that I hadn't even been, you know, made aware of. It was just coming, you know, just coming to my awareness. So, but Bruh, look, I've taken feminist courses, man, and I did it as electives. Okay. I took 3 graduate seminars in feminist philosophy. Okay. And thank you, Dominic Robertson, for your donation, bro. And I'm gonna read your statement. But I just want to say this. What Dennis just basically said is right, man. Like a lot of these women, man, they play feminists at the job, but they go home and they got husbands and they got daddies for their children that live in-house, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I know many of them, bro. Like I'm not gonna say their names, but I work with them, bro. One of the people who was the head of the feminist department, man, the Women and Gender Studies department at the university where I got my PhD. This woman, man, literally had a husband that taught masculinist studies. So she teaching feminist studies, he teaching masculinist studies. And I mean, one could argue that they're like the converse of each other, but it's professionalism and careerism for them, man. She got a husband at the crib. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever the nature of their relationship is, they work together. He works under her because it's a women and gender studies department, right? But he's fucking getting paid. She making sure he's getting paid. But we got women in our own community who don't want to see us get paid. They want to break us down a notch. And black men have never desired to prevent black women from working. Like, that's some white woman shit. I'm just saying, like, okay, everything about the feminist movement really basically, other than the so-called idea of rape and violence to women, ain't got shit to do with black women for real. Nothing. The first wave of feminism was about voting. Black men had the right to vote during Reconstruction. That was brief as hell. Because that was taken away through the Ku Klux Klan and through Jim Crow. So we didn't really actually have the right to vote until the 1964 Voting Rights Act. And that happened simultaneously with black women.
Facts.
In terms of the second wave of feminism, bruh, look, the reality is, man, that was all about women being able to get out and work and make their own cash. Black women have always worked, man. They've been forced to work. Even when they didn't have to work, white people were trying to create laws to get domestics back in their houses. And black women were like, I ain't gotta work. My husband make enough money to the point where I can be a homemaker and take care of my own crib instead of taking care of yours and looking after your kids and breaking out my tit and having your white son suck in my nutrients for his own nurturance. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to have to do that no more. But they like, I read the article, the black women to be put to work. So the women being able to, black women having careers and going to work ain't never been an issue, bruh. So the question then is, what is their connection, their tether to this? Man, at the end of the day, man, it's about money and resources, bro. It's about jobs and money, bro. And influence and being seen. If all you want to do is be seen, if all you want, is to have, your own career and fuck your son, fuck your brothers, fuck your uncles, fuck your nephews, if that's your mind state, it's a corrupt mind state. It's a state that only comes from miseducation. And unfortunately, a lot of them are going to these universities, these white-funded, white pedagogical institutions, and they're soaking all that shit up. They ain't soaking up Afrocentrism. They ain't soaking up what the Black Studies departments was like when they first got formed. And one of the first ones that was formed was in San Francisco, California, in fact. Those were black power organizations that demanded that they be able to learn black nationalist studies in the context of the school system. And now they've been taken over by assimilationists, integrationists, intersectionalists. Those are just the facts, man. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm going to read Dominic Robertson's super sticker here, man, and shout out to him for donating. He says, I've been challenging lots of people in many industries about the false narrative on victimizing black women as if they're hopeless, weak, and preyed upon, when in truth, you can't say nothing out of line to a black woman without her ready to fold you up. And, hey, bro, look, all I'm going to say is, man, if the system works to your advantage and you don't have a good heart, and if you are miseducated, you'll manipulate that system, not even to any real benefit to yourself. You'll just be power tripping, trying to, you know, put a black man in a situation where he's jammed up. And it's screwed up, but this is where we are now, bro. And currently, these women are being encouraged to act like this, bro. Unfortunately. And it's a shame. You got to get back to my. They say they want my. They say they want justice, truth, you know, reciprocity, and the nine, you know, the whole nine. But come on, bro. We got to get there, bro. So at any rate, man, any closing remarks, man? I'm going to let you start in, and then I'm going to let the brother wrap up the show because the show is dedicated to him.
Oh yeah, I think that, you know, it is a farce, because I put in the chat and in the back chat, you know, about the labor statistics, right? And showing, you know, because it's this dualistic thing, you know, where black women are requiring men to be patriarchs on one hand, and then to say that we're restricting them, you know, on the other hand, from their freedom. But to understand though is that we've been taking care of them, you know, for a long time. Right. And they didn't have a problem with it at all whatsoever, because they'll say, you know, as a prerequisite to actually be in a relationship with them, they say that you got to pay all the bills, you know. But the thing is, but if you're promoting this ideology where you want to be the boss and you want to be the man of the house, how do you think that's going to work simultaneously? You know what I'm saying? You have to choose one or the other, and not to say one is better than the other, but you can't demonize one and praise the other. You know, you have to accept that feminism gave you the choice, and you just choose. You don't have to demonize one or the other, or make black men, you know, shame black men for their position. But so, you know, that's all I got to say on that.
My brother, man, thank you for coming through, man, and chopping it up with me, man. You know, I ain't been on in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I've been kind of ducking. You know what I'm saying, here and there. I'm trying to put my energy and efforts into something that I enjoy doing. I do this work out of duty. I feel like I have a duty as someone who has information to give it. I mean, you can disagree with it, you know, but like I have information at my fingertips. I'm trying to share it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do.
We appreciate it.
But it takes its toll after a certain time. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure Dennis could tell you, like, I'm not like a community activist in the sense that I'm like going around with pamphlets and, you know, doing pickets and, you know, trying to get people to come to my center and to participate in my educational or my pedagogical program that I've, you know, developed or anything like that. But I'm trying to give y'all information. And, you know, I wish that we would take the information and actually do something with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Instead of all the infighting and the name calling and the finger pointing and the HNIC syndrome, I wish we could get beyond it. You understand what I mean? But like, it takes its toll after a certain time, man. And then, you know, bruh, this is justice work. Sometimes you got to do something that you enjoy, man. It's called having balance in your life. Do you understand? Because you can't be in attack mode forever. If you are, if you don't have time, it's like lifting weights, bro. You can't go to the gym every day and work the same body part every day, bro.
Right,
you can't do that, bro. You got to take a chill pill and do something else you like to do. Like, I'm not saying I don't like to inform people, but damn, man, like, I'm wondering if there'll ever be a moment in time where we can finally get over this and get to actually doing something to help us collectively. Because, you know, I mean, you know, I study ancient philosophy, Aristotle, Socrates, all of them. I also read George M. James, or G.M. James. I also read, you know what I'm saying, Anthony Browder, all them dudes, man. You know, like, I've been yakking, and I ain't new to none of this, bro. Stolen Legacy, I read that when I was in college, bro.
But, you know,
right
Gigi,
along,
we need you because like you said before, you know, philosophy is made up. But what we need is brothers like you who bring a practical bent to it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's part of the power of this toxic feminism, is that they have the power to define every other day. They're defining more negative shit about black men, and it becomes part of the lexicon. And once it becomes part of the lexicon, whether it's true or not, it's true. You understand what I'm saying? So we need you to push back on that and understand, okay, philosophy too has to be checked and has to be vetted. And so we appreciate you for how you do that.
Man, every 5 minutes a black woman is killed by a black man. Well, shit, every 10 minutes a black man is killed by a black woman. Like, I mean, what the fuck, bro? So.
No. I say every 5 minutes.
No, I'm just saying it's a woman. It's a woman here in the chat, man, basically saying every 5 minutes a woman is killed by a black man. I mean, so fucking what, man? You talking about less than 1% of women, man, in the world, bro. What? Yeah, we talking about less than 1% of the black. It's 40 million black women in the fucking country, man. About 100 black women die a year. About 75 black men die a year from DV, bro. Real talk. Like, I mean, so what? Like, the numbers are so damn near comparable. It's almost negligible. And in some years, it's at least in 1 year, you had a quote in the Jet magazine, and Ishmael Reed talked about it, where black women killed more black men that year than the other way around. And this was at the height of the time when The Color Purple was out. You know what I'm saying? So wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. All I'm trying to say is, bro, you know, this violence against women shit is some bullshit. Go read some literature on this issue, man. Go read Fiber. And it demonstrates that women, it don't matter if it's a black woman or a white woman, because all this shit is just a rehashing of white women's energy. You know, this hyperbolic claim that like all women are subjected to violence from men. But you look at the statistics and the data, it'll demonstrate to you, man, that women, there's a Harvard study recently that came out. Women were, in 70% of the cases, the first initiators of violence in the context of intimate partner relationships. Women. Do you hear them being accountable for that? Or even talking about or discussing that shit?
Not at all.
No. And then you already know, man, absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you have a narrative at your disposal whereby you're always the victim and never ever vicious in any way at all, and we have video after video after video after video after video showing women doing some diabolical shit. Not to say that they all do it, but when you gonna start talking about that? When you gonna start discussing the dirt the women got under their fingernails? If we have truthfulness and honesty and candidness and openness, maybe we can actually begin to remedy some of the pathology in our communities. But we can't if it's nothing but half truths. Do you know what they say about the devil? Even though I'm not really actually buying into the whole, you know, theology of evil in the same way that these Euros come up with it. But you know what they say? The devil don't tell lies. He just don't tell all the truth. So, you know, my whole thing with divestors from the beginning is, if you divesting, keep your, like, if I'm divested, I ain't coming nowhere near around you. I ain't visiting your page. I ain't going in, no dialogue with you. If I'm done with you, I don't fuck with you. So really, they actually fuck with us. And to be truth be told, like, the reality of the situation is, man, you can't change the condition of your blackness. It's here with you to your grave. You can't get rid of it. You can't shake it. You can perm your hair. You can bleach your skin, but you can't get rid of your blackness. It is what it is. Now, you can try as you might to become an honorary white person by stepping and fetching it and doing the Daffy dance and some shit like that. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? You can Daffy dance all you want, but you still a nigga Daffy dancing. I hate to say that. It is what it is. It's been shown time and time again. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think you look like or whatever the case may be. They're going to let you know you still a nigger or woman. Bottom line. Because you ain't got as much money as Becky and Karen and Miss Ann got. You ain't got their education either. You ain't got their status. They the wealthiest demographic in the country, to be quite honest. Because when they die, the money go to who? The husband die. Where the money go? Because they outlive their husbands. Who get the bag?
Well,
Come on, man.
And look
Stop doing the Daffy dance. And look, Franz Fanon talked about this shit in The Wretched of the Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like this. If you want to act like we that savage and that brutal, go ahead and tell that lie. Go ahead and keep regurgitating that lie, see if it gets you rich. It'll get some Negro women rich, but the vast majority of black women ain't gonna get rich doing that because it ain't enough slots for you to perpetuate that buffoonery and that daffy shit. It ain't enough slots. It's only reserved for a few black women who's going to enjoy the accoutrements that come along with doing the daffy dance. The vast majority of y'all ain't gonna get that bag doing that. And you ain't gonna get Brad to be your husband either. Because most Brads, I'm gonna just be honest with you, they don't want to have little nigger babies. Sorry. I mean, those are just the facts.
Hey, can I add to your point? To your point, though, I put in the back chat, Tommy Curry, when I talked to him on Clubhouse, he confirmed that between 1970s and he said all the way up to 1993, black men were dying at a higher rate from domestic violence, than black women were. So it actually only switched in recent history that black women were killing more black men than the reverse.
But hey, man, they got to have that narrative. They got to continue to be a perpetual victim or something. They really don't want to. A lot of these women are miseducated, like Carter G. Woodson talked about, man. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know what I'm saying? And so, it's fashionable to be an anti-black misandrist. But you know what? Look, I'm going to tell you who my hero is. I can't show the screen right now because it's something preventing me on Google for being able to show the screen. But I'll say this. Dessalines didn't look. To me, the pinnacle of black resistance took place in Haiti. You could say, they didn't win. Okay, they didn't win in the long run. But Dessalines had no reservations in his heart. Like, if you part of that contingency of people who trying to hold us back, off with your head. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Many of y'all don't understand what I'm saying. Okay? Let me see it. You see Dessalines? Do you see him right there? Who he got? What he got in one hand and what he got in the other? Do you see it? So I'm gonna end that there. I ain't got nothing else to say. I'm gonna let my brother Dennis Boatwright finish it out, man.
Thank you. You hit it on the nose. What I just really want to say, brother, to you, Doc, I know you won't be calling that, but Dr. DG, I just want to say I just thank you and appreciate for you having your program, and I thank you for holding it down pretty much by yourself. You have been a strong advocate for black men and black women, and I just thank you for that. And I just want to let you know that brothers like myself and more brothers in Detroit, we got your back because we like what you're doing, because you're protecting the integrity of black men, and we need that because it has become fashionable to demonize black men for personal gain or to elevate a person's career. But I also want to say this. I'm a Pan-Africanist, which means that I'm against violence against women. I'm against raping of women. And matter of fact, many men in prisons, once they find out that a person is in there for raping or brutalizing a woman, they usually give them prison love. They usually give them prison justice. So black men, even in the prison system, are fundamentally against women being dominated or being raped or brutalized. So what those white liberals are teaching are totally against the facts. Here's another thing why LGBT community, the females, are gaining such prominence now. Because I'm going to tell you this. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing held them at bay for 40 years, and she died a few years ago, just a few years ago. She was an intelligent, articulate, pro-black woman who was the first person to use white supremacy openly, whether it's on a Donahue show or any other show. So Frances Cress Welsing held the black man down for 40 years. And there's another person by Shahrazad Ali, who is 68 years old. She's getting old now, but she have written books on how to bring the black male and the black female together. She has done a fantastic job. She has defended the value and the nature of black men. But she's getting old now. Another person, Asada Secure, she's been in exile since the 1970s, 77, 70, 78. She was very pro-black and loved black men, but they kept her in exile. If Asada Secure were to capitulate to this narrative of black men being dominant and killing women, they would let her come back to the United States from Cuba, because she has remained a staunch supporter of the black men, the lover of black men. They keep her out in exile. So this is why we need some young women to be like Shah Razad Ali and Frances Cress Wilson. That's what's missing from this debate, but we don't got them because they done gotten old and they have passed away. And lastly, in Detroit, we have a project. We have a space for black women and black male who see both genders as compatible and complementary to each other. The place is called Nandi's Knowledge Cafe, located on 71 Oakman Boulevard in Highland Park, Michigan. They have classes and spaces for young kids Monday through Friday to come there so that black men and women and little kids as young as 1 and 2 years old can get to develop and get to inculcate healthy black male and black female relationships. In addition to that, as a bonus, all of those books you talk about Dr. Ben, Asa Hillier, Jacob Carruthers, Sheikh Anta Diop, Theophile Benga, they have all those books on the bookshelf in plenty. So people who are watching this, if you want to start repairing and start creating a strong bond in the black community and black families, if you're in the Detroit area, you need to go to 71 Oakman Boulevard in Highland Park, Michigan, and they have a space and they have the environment and they have the books there in order to unite us and to get the black woman and black man on the same page again. And thank you, brother.
All right, man, brother Dennis Boatwright, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully, we'll stay in contact, man. I'm here, at least once a week. I know, I'm gonna start doing it a little more often, man. But I appreciate you coming through, and I'm eager to hear what plans you have for the Black Nationalist Convention. I know, you're considered to be, a regress from the current politics that's taking place in, liberal culture at the current moment. If you don't bash black men, if you don't, show contrition and denounce and demean and belittle black men, it almost seems as if you have no place at the table in, conversations about what black people should be doing going forward. But I thank you, brother, for coming today. And, a lot of, people in YouTube land, would like to consider, or label you a hotep, or, and then say, you're a simp in virtue of the fact that you are a black nationalist and a pan-Africanist, and that, you think that black women can do no wrong and that, the black LGBTQ can do no wrong. But I think your example, just existing as you do, kind of flies in the face of all that. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, we do need to repair what's been, cleaved, but at least we're going to do so by means of telling the truth about it and understanding, how white, culture has basically carved out, these conflicts amongst us and created these, these dichotomies and these rifts. And so, man, I appreciate you for bringing that forward, bro. So, till the next time, man, we almost 3 hours in, man. I got to find a way to cut these shows down to an hour in length, man. But, I mean, sometimes it's necessary to have the long ones, especially if they're going good, man. This one went pretty good, man. It didn't even seem like I was on as long as we actually have been. So, I appreciate you being here, brother. That's all I want to say, man. So, peace out to you, man. I'll holler at y'all on the next one. Peace.